of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I am your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to Time for Hemp on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Anywhere there's a sound found on the internet, we are around making sound on the internet. Please share us with your friends. It's Tuesday. Big salute to all the amazing activists up in Canada. I tell you, they really are leaders in this industry. Maybe not so much leaders in the freedom of the industry, but they've got a new prime minister, so that could easily change too. But the business industry that they've created from this cash crop has been just stellar. And I can certainly learn a lot from looking at anybody in Canada who talks about Canada's cannabis resources, because truly they know about making oils and fibers and fuels and even airplanes and cars. Isn't that right, Kelly?
Yeah, they're trying it all.
And that's my joint host, KDK distributor Kelly Kristen, here on the big broadcast. And Kelly, we have a recurring joint guest who's been traveling the world and is now here in the Portland, Oregon area. And, Mike Bifari, let the two of you get caught up to date while I sit here and hit this pipe on Time for Hemp.
Hello, Mr. Bifari.
Hey, how you doing, Caddy? My pleasure. My pleasure to be in the show, Casper. Thank you very much for that introduction.
Absolutely. It's been too long since we've had you on, but that's because you've been traveling here and there and everywhere.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, we met with Caddy the last time. I was thinking that it was in Santiago. We've been around the ballet. Remember, we've been around the Aconcagua Ballet searching for the hemp history.
Absolutely. It was an incredible trip. Very enjoyable, very beautiful part of the world, of course. And seeing my biggest memory, of course, was when we were in the square of the town. I can't quite remember the name of the town now. The little town where where the museum was.
Yeah, San Felipe.
San Felipe. And
yes.
When we were in the center square, and we saw the hemp leaf in the concrete in the building built, I don't know, whatever, certainly over 100 years ago. It was pretty awesome to see it just sitting there.
Yeah, it was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So obviously a very long history in that area for hemp production.
Yeah, absolutely. And, let me update you. We came back, actually. This was 1 year ago, in November last year. We tried to film all the testimonies from the old folks, for the European Hash Marijuana Hemp Cáñamo Museum Barcelona, that actually sponsor us to make this trip again to Chile to find out more about the history and have it in a certain format that was a film. We made about more than 12 hours filming around all the testimonies of the old folks that used to work in the ballet and with hemp, of course. And, some of them are, kind of 88 years old, for example, and they are in very healthy conditions, and they speak out, and they get really emotional when they remember the old days of the huge hemp crop plantations around all that area that we went together with you. It was a really amazing job that we did. But, it's not finished yet. We still have to put things together. We have a little advance of the whole documentary, but we hope to get it together in the rest of the year. Maybe some month of next year we'll probably be ready.
Awesome. Well, I know that I'm certainly looking forward to it because I have a little bit of a personal connection along with you and the rest of the crew that was out there that was for me, a very, very awesome trip all around. It was my first time to South America, and being included in your trek to that area and to be involved in it, I feel certainly privileged, and I highly recommend anybody that happens to be in the area to get to San Felipe and check out the museum that's there. Pretty interesting stuff, of course. Anyhow, I'm glad to hear that things have progressed and that we'll get to see this video sometime in the relatively near future. You don't have a specific date in mind, or you're close, you're 80%?
No, all the material is in Valencia, Spain right now. The people from a TV show that's called Marijuana TV, they're handling the whole editing work, around the video. So it's not really finished yet. Yeah, we're still working on it. We want to also translate it. We want to translate it into English, of course, and it takes some time, but we'll make it. Anyways, I wanted to tell you about this year. Before this year's end, we have several events going on in South America, which I absolutely want to invite you over, and invite all the people that are listening as well, right? There's going to be like the first Expo Medellin, like the first Expo weed in Medellin, Colombia. And,
excellent. Yeah, I plan to be there. Are we going to see you there, Mike?
Yes, I'll be there. Yeah,
excellent.
I'll be speaking there with the other people, other colleagues from all over the world. It's going to be very interesting because I was talking with my friends that for America, let's say like Canada and U.S., it made a big difference when these Colombian strains showed up in the 70s and the late 60s. It was a big impact for everybody here to have that Colombian weed. That's what I've been told. I don't know what you have to say about it, but it's funny that now Colombia has just recently legalized for medical, and the government has done a good approach with the campesinos, with the country people. They have given free license for forming cooperatives around growing areas, that the campesinos already are doing this for a long time, but now the government are kind of legal them up, and this is a great news, because after all the suffering for all those people, and the new approach of cannabis worldwide, which is what has us really impressed all these last years and months, all the improvements and all the advantages that people are receiving with this miracle plant. So, this what's going on in Colombia, the whole South America, but the fact that everybody is going to be in Colombia, I just wanted to mention that a history thing about the old Colombian strains, how people are still working to recuperate them, because all these traditional strains have been kind of lost. So you follow what I'm saying, right?
I know when I was young, we the cannabis that we received was from Mexico. It was very low quality, high seed count, that kind of stuff. And the first cannabis to come along that was a little bit more respectable was from Colombia, and we did call it just Colombian. And there was no specific strain name or anything like that. Just the fact that it came from Colombia, it was much better quality than the cannabis we were receiving from Mexico. So it became very popular. It was actually 4 times the cost, which obviously was reflected in the quality of the product. So we have to thank Colombia for getting us out of that really low quality Mexican stuff.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't recall all the names, but I remember it's Punto Rojo. Maybe I'm sure that most of the listeners probably recall the names, but I think that Mango Beach. I'm here with Chile. You remember Chile from Chile, right? That we've been
You
together.
bet. You bet. Nice.
Chile's right here. We're helping in a medical garden here in Oregon, and he's helping us. So you remember the names, Chile? It was Mango Beach was another one. Punto Rojo was another one. From the Colombian strains. Santa Marta Gold, yeah, Santa Marta Gold was the famous one. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it sounds like it's going to be interesting to see you there in Colombia.
absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to it, of course. Will be my first time there as well. I don't know. Have you ever been to Colombia?
No, I have not. This is going to be my first time too, so I'm very excited.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And you will be speaking there?
I will. I will be speaking there with somebody that you probably know very well, Mark Emery.
Yes.
And Paul Stanford.
Very nice.
So
excellent.
This is going to be the international panel, I guess. So I'm there with them.
Very nice, very nice. And you're going to talk about the history of hemp?
Yes, I want to show my little video, this advance that we have. We have about 8-minute advance, and I want to show that, and I want to speak a little bit about, update people about what's going on in my little slice of the world, which is down South America. Right now, this couple of months, the last couple of months, there has been a big debate in South America, especially in Argentina. That already Chile and Uruguay had substantial changes in their laws concerning cannabis, right? But Argentina this is new for Argentina. There's a big debate going on in Congress, and of course, like we say, like I visualize like a big front for the reform of the drug law in general, right? And our cannabis people, we represent a small portion of that big front. There's other organizations. Like there's harm reduction organizations. There's psychologist organizations. They are, mothers of kids with epilepsy that use medical cannabis. There's a couple of organizations as well. So and in that big front, it's us that we are kind of representing the growers, So this is getting interesting because, among all those people that are there for the discussion of the change of the law, you have exactly the right pieces of the puzzle to put in place to create the productive units that we need legally to be able to give these people their medicine.
I agree.
Isn't that what was it? What do you think I was clear enough?
Yes, I think so. I understood. I'm sure everybody else did.
Nice. So this is what's going on right now. Right now, this is what's going on. And unbelievably, we have people representing also the international inner debate. There are people from the DPA involved in the Congress, people from other organizations concerning harm reduction. There's a lot of people involved in this big discussion, So.
Well, there needs to be, of course, as we continue to move forward. There's going to be a lot more discussion. Also here in Canada, I don't know if you're aware, but we're moving towards legalization here for recreational cannabis. Were you aware of that, Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I was following, sure.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long battle, of course. We've had medical cannabis for over 10 years. And sometime in the next year, in 2017, they're going to going to legalize cannabis recreationally in Canada for the first time. So, this is a big plus for lots of reasons. Number one, it's as we all know, those of us that like to consume cannabis, the threat of criminal records and all that kind of stuff is going to be behind us as we move towards legalization, and it's going to be less of a drain on our judicial system, and we're going to get money from taxes. It's a big plus all the way around. Glad to see it happening finally, and it's no small part due to an awful lot of people, guys like yourselves, Mike and Casper, who have been at the forefront for God who knows how many years, 20 plus years, maybe even 25 plus years. It's great to see things moving forward in all our countries. America, especially Canada. I think we've sort of expected it for a while, and really awesome to see South America moving very much in that direction. Again, it seems even quicker than Canada. Where, unfortunately, we did sort of really try to move a long time ago to legalization, but we were thwarted by our counterparts down south, and nothing came of it, which is unfortunate. And we regressed, so far that under the Harper regime, that America caught up and surpassed us in cannabis legalization, which is, really difficult for us to fathom, considering where we were.
That's incredible. Yeah, because even in the old days, people thought the Canadians have a different mind than the Americans, and they're more progressive, right?
I think so, but
then the Harper era came on, right?
Oh, and yeah, and then it was ugliness. I mean, we regressed very quickly and very far back, but the Liberals have moved quickly to try and bring cannabis, recreational cannabis, to the country, and they have succeeded in going through with putting together a panel, trying to figure out what to do and what not to do. I'm sure they're looking at Colorado. I'm sure they're looking at Uruguay. I'm sure they're looking at what Netherlands has done over the past, since the 70s,
right,
and hopefully try to formulate something that works for everybody.
Right.
I have no doubt that not everybody's going to be happy when it comes out, but it's always a start, and we can always change the things that aren't working, just continue to move forward. So it's really an awesome time to be involved in this industry at this time.
Yes, it's very exciting to be like me as South American. It's so exciting what's going on. I can't believe it. But at the same time, because we are kind of pioneers in the subject over there, it's a big challenge as well. So I think we're prepared to take it. I mean, I love the industry. I love to work with cannabis, and we are 100% that we're not doing nothing wrong. For the contrary, we're doing good. So that's what motivates me the most. To know that we actually save lives. I can tell you these stories about, these stories that are going around all the entire world about mothers desperate for these type of oils that can kind of balance their kids that otherwise would have these kind of seizures with epilepsy episodes, and I spoke with one of my friends who's a physician. He's saying, in some cases, these to avoid these seizures could actually save the kid's life, because they can actually, their life some cases it's very fragile. You know what I mean? So this is unbelievable, and people, it's just, you can't deny it. You know, people, many people are suffering because we don't have the liberty to work the way we supposed to. You know, in a legal environment. You know, to work in a legal environment in our subject is very important. You know, it's so important. It's it makes 100% different, I think.
Yeah, legality is going to be massive. The strides that are going to be made in medicine now that people are going to be allowed to experiment and to test and to try to figure this out and that out. There's so much that we don't know about the plant.
But you know, Kelly, let me tell you this situation. You know, sometimes I imagine, that we as growers, we show up in the Congress with the white flag, like saying, "Hey, we're here. We've been fooling the law all these years, but now with the mothers, we're partners with the mothers of these kids, so we're waving the white flag, like the war is over, right?" So yeah, because in a sense, if you kind of picture the situation, it's like that, these totally illegal operations give the mothers the first medicines, and this is a fact. This is the way it was. All these countries, Chile, Uruguay, Argentina, we were all illegal for years, and many people were already, being brave enough and so nice enough to attend all these severe cases of kids with epilepsy. This is incredible, that people have helped all that,
Well, I think that they did a major television show in the United States, and with a well-known television doctor, and where they did a specific show on the one, on the specific, on epilepsy. And I think as a human being, if you're to watch that show, how can you deny any child that kind of relief from 100 or whatever seizures a day down to 1 a week or 2 a week or whatever the case was for some of them? It's just unbelievable. How can you not want to have it? It is a phenomenal plant. I know that last week we talked a little bit about hemp in Canada. We had a great guest on, Michael. Don't know if you have managed to hear the show, but she's heavily involved in hemp and hemp production, both in the United States and Canada, and seeing light in the end of the tunnel as far as the United States is concerned, about opening up and planting some hemp, allowing hemp to be replanted or reintroduced into the farming system. But it's been going strong and getting stronger in Canada year by year. And when I saw the pictures of the hemp production down there in Chile at the museum, just unbelievable, the crops. And so it will benefit everybody around the world.
Yeah.
Hemp is just crazy. It's really going to take off in the next year. We're going to see so many more products developed from hemp. We're going to see more acres, and hopefully we can start to use it as a fuel.
Yes.
And really start to help save the planet.
That's one of the things that has surprised me most. I know that our country has, over a variety of decades, been focused on the fuel industry being just a limited resource, just a number of gallons of fossil fuel left, and that's it. And then, of course, we are so much struggling with our slavery to overseas dictators because of their ownership of this wonderful thing called fossil fuel that we seem to want to pay large money for, when in all honesty we could honestly be growing our own fuel. And I never understood why it was just that one fact alone did not end prohibition. Just the very fact alone that we can fuel our world with this plant should have been enough to make all politicians and every human on earth go, well, shit, let's start planting that.
Let's give it a try. Anyhow.
Yeah. Huh?
What's the worst we could do? Fail, I guess.
Right. You know, I mean, gosh, and then within a year and a half, we would need OPEC. We wouldn't need Shell. We wouldn't be having these horrible spills in our oceans. And if we did, we'd be spilling biofuel that would just recirculate itself over a period of time instead of killing us over a period of time. Just saying.
Yeah. You know, it's incredible how the technology and science in general, you know, applied to the hemp business and hemp industry. How big changes we're going to be able to see in our lifetime. You know, when I come from South America, Kelly, you know, and Casper, you know, when I come from South America, it's like virtually it's like stepping out of a time machine, you know. And maybe here I am in the little late future if I go back to South America again. So I always look for technology. You know, I can't believe all the type of different extracts of cannabis that these people have in these legal states: Colorado, California, Washington, Oregon. They have all these different varieties of, you know, of options to consume. You know, this is really unbelievable. You know, and all these type of different extract methods, you know, that are really amazing. Like these machines that you can actually take oil without, you know, any harmful solution, like without using, you know, fuels, only with heat. You know, some things really impress me. It's really, really, virtually it's like going in a time machine. So I try to take advantage of some stuff. You know, for example, you know, I like, you know, I have my own little home growing for my own consumption wherever I go. And, you know, I like, for example, these electronic digital ballast that you have for the indoor growing lights. You know, that is unbelievable. You know, it's very difficult to find in South America. There's no market for that yet. People don't even use lamps of 1,000 volts. You know, they use the biggest you can get is 600. So, you know, when you come to a place like America, you know, that has good things and bad things, in my opinion, or my way of seeing life, you know, but many things I have to take my sombrero out, you know, and say, thank you, America.
Well, I have to say thank you to our sponsors by playing their commercials, which is what keeps us going here on the big broadcast. Then we're going to jam out to a fantastic tune about how wonderful cannabis is. And then when we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp. Are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
It's sure been a long week, but Friday's finally come, and now standing before me is my 3-foot bomb. This weekend's gonna fly by. One thing that I know is time flies by when you're getting stoned.
Some call it Colita, some call it wrong. Some say that it's all right, some say that it's wrong. Based on empirical research, one thing I know
is time flies by when you're getting stoned. So pass me that doobie, let's put some records on. Go ahead now, toss a lighter to me. Somebody pack the bomb. This weekend's gonna fly by. One thing that I know is time flies by when you're getting stoned.
Shotgun in Reno, puffing a doobie down. I see the cops in the rear, I better put the joint out. But man, soon as we cross that state line, oh, you already know I'm gonna light this shit back up and we'll be getting stoned.
Yeah, baby, time does fly by when you're getting stoned. I know. The first time I hit a joint seems like yesterday, and that was like 70 years ago or something. I don't know. It just seems like time flies by when you're getting stoned. And with that said, we are halfway through this amazing hour of cannabis knowledge and information and learning about how the industry is growing. And one of the ways to get stoned is to also utilize a vaporizer. Over the years, we have managed to go from smoking a joint and smoking out of an apple to smoking out of a bong. And now we have these highfalutin, rootin' tootin' contraptions that you have to find 3 computer mechanics to fix before you can get it going if it takes a dump. Right, Kelly?
Well, they're not really that highfalutin. They're actually pretty easy to use, of course. This is about the time we usually talk about our free giveaway for a quality vaporizer called the Herbal Air.
And it's easy to use, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think
you don't need to be a computer.
You have one, and I think Mike has one too, don't you, Mike?
Yes, I do.
You still use it?
I still use it, and it's a miracle.
And I use mine, and you don't need to be a computer scientist to run it, do you, Kelly?
No. No, super simple appliance, of course. Definitely valuable tool for the medical patient for a couple of reasons. Number one, of course, it's much healthier way to deliver cannabis to the human body. There are well over 20 carcinogens created by combustion. They're eliminated, of course, through vaporization because there is no combustion. So it's a much healthier method to consume your cannabis. It's super, super easy. Load her up and turn her on and let the bag fill up and then enjoy the essence. Like Casper says, it tastes like it smells when you use a quality vaporizer and clean bags. It's an amazing difference. So it's a lot healthier for the medical patient. And the other big plus for medical patients is the fact that they're horrendously efficient. And cannabis patients report using anywhere from 50 to 70% less cannabis used through vaporization as opposed through combustion to help patients with whatever their ailment may be. So for the last several years now, we've had the privilege of being able to give away a Herbal Air vaporizer to a medical patient somewhere in the world, anywhere in the world. South America, for those of you listening in from there, we've sent them as far away as Israel and Australia, certainly Europe, and of course all over the United States and Canada, and a couple into South America. Hopefully we can all spread the word because there are medical patients around the world that use cannabis. And in order to qualify for this free draw for a Herbal Air vaporizer, number one requirement, you must use cannabis as a medicine, regardless of what your ailment may be, as long as you're using cannabis. The other requirement is that you're unable to afford a quality vaporizer due to a limited income, whether that be on an old age pension, disability, welfare, whatever the case may be, maybe even no income at all, some of these people, unfortunately. So they find it very difficult to afford a quality vaporizer. So we make a draw once a month, give away one for free, ship it directly to your door. So there's absolutely no cost to you, and you can start enjoying it right away. So for those of you that are listening that could use a free vaporizer and can't afford one, or if you know somebody, certainly make them aware of the program. Super simple. Send me an email to Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll put you in the hat, and hopefully we draw your name and send you out a vaporizer very soon.
And on behalf of the marijuana movement, Kelly, we certainly thank you. And your team have been doing such hard work for so many years, and your support of the cannabis industry has been stellar. And because of you and your team, the message has been heard all around the world. Many patients have a healthier way of receiving their medications, and the world certainly is a far better place. With that said, I want to pass this joint conversation back to our joint chat with our joint host and our joint guest here on Time for Hemp. Gentlemen?
Yeah, I want to thank you too, Kelly, that you and your team actually done a great job, sending all those for all this great tool for these patients that are in need. And this is what I was talking about, that how technology is helping us now, that if you go back a few years ago, it was kind of incredible to think that, we can consume the herb in such a way. But actually, this is the purest way to consume the cannabinoids, and terpenes and all the flavonoids and all these components that we know more now than we used to 10 years ago. And this is the way the whole plant's components work in our body, and the way we consume it is really interesting, to consume it without no other bad components, like burning paper or whatever. So, yeah. You follow what I'm saying, right? How is my English sounding? I don't know. If the people
I think it sounds
understand.
great, Mike. I'm able to understand you, no problem at all.
Okay, but this is incredible to me, so I'm sharing it with the rest of you. That this new approach that we have in this reality of industry and technology concerning cannabis. This is surprising, and it's in all the fields, right? If you go to the way you can consume cannabis, if you go the way you can grow cannabis, in all the different fields that we work on, these big and good changes, in my opinion, are good changes for all of us. We're going to see the results in a few years. We're going to see good results of the new technology that's developing in the new cannabis industry.
I'm with you on that. I know that you haven't had much contact with concentrates, which are, of course, all the rage in North America. Seems to be the way that most people are going. I know I see it pretty heavy in the United States, not so much Canada. But yeah, the concentrate scene has really grown. And I think really has taken over the marketplace.
Yeah, right. And you were talking recently about the hemp industry. In Uruguay, I've been in Uruguay last year, and we just recently saw the list of the companies that are working growing hemp in Uruguay. And there were a couple of Canadian hemp companies. There were a company from the States. There were a couple of companies from Spain and from Australia. China, one company a couple of companies from China and one from Australia. But there were a couple of them from Canada as well. With Chile, we have a piece of land over there in Uruguay, about 10 hectares. And Chile is planning to make a whole complete building for like a salon for conferences and a school, but the whole building he wants to make it out of hemp, So this is his goal for this coming year. So this is really interesting because, we still think that the people, especially in the countryside, they need more education about the hemp growing and the hemp history, because there's still kind of reefer madness attitudes against, some of the new innovation crops that we can fill in these Uruguayan fields, which is a really good land to grow hemp. So we're working on that. Luckily, with the government is helping. The government has an agent that takes care of the hemp production. It's not a really big agent, and unfortunately, they do not have a big budget, which is something good and bad. Let me tell you. Let me tell you why. In my consideration, is good because you have less control from the state. Less government I'm not saying decent controls. I'm saying, when you're overwhelmed with bureaucratic, stupid controls. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about controls over your crop, if it is organically or it's not organically, if it's a decent crop to share with other people, with patients. That should be controlled. I have nothing against that. What I'm against is, all the bureaucratic and rip-off controls from the governments. And because they have a very, very low budget, these type of controls cannot be taken. So that is what's going on one hand. On the other hand, the good thing in Uruguay is that things are moving forward, slowly, but they are moving forward. They have these clubs of, membership. You can be a member of a club and have cannabis access for your own consumption, no matter if you're medical or not. This is for just, there's no separation up to the time right now. It's only if you just become a membership, you can get access to cannabis, about 400 grams per year, which is not, it's not really a big amount. I think I need maybe 4 times that, But anyway, that's a starting, I guess. But these clubs are running. What is still has to be implemented is the selling over the counter with the government, because what we heard extra officially, what we heard is that the 2 companies that grew hemp for the government had many, many difficulties, and most of the crop got lost, unfortunately, So this is what we heard. Up to the time now, we know that the pharmacies don't want to get involved with the selling, so they have a problem there. I believe that they have to reconsider having other type of organization for the selling. Maybe like dispensaries, private dispensaries where people can go and get their cannabis, right?
Well, I think the private dispensaries, certainly here in Canada, dispensaries have been around for over 10 years. When we started with the medical marijuana program, once there was a program, there really wasn't any medicine available legally. So, of course, patients were allowed to grow for themselves. And the government took a long time to get some cannabis, find a company and then produce some cannabis that was extremely poor quality, the government cannabis anyhow. So a lot of the medical patients, of course, tried the government cannabis, and it turned out to be not of very good quality. So they went back to essentially the black market or dispensaries. And these dispensaries sort of operated, in that gray area. Patients needed cannabis as medicine. They were prescribed it by their doctors, but they weren't able to access a quality supply. So these people basically put their lives on the line, their livelihoods on the line, in order to help these medical patients. And now, they've been set up for a long time, and I think that they have earned a place in the cannabis sale market to the public. And I think they need of course they need to draft rules and regulations like they do for anything else, the government, and make that the dispensaries comply with what the rules and regulations are in order to dispense and or sell cannabis. I really think that they earned their spot by being out there and providing to the medical patient when there was nothing available. And, so, a lot of kudos out to them. And I think they should all be first in line. Here's our rules and regulations. Set up your shops accordingly, and we'll grant you licenses. And then from there, it's like anything else. I think it should be free enterprise, and anybody who wanted to open a shop should be able to, provided they can meet and or exceed the criteria the government has set in place, why not? I think the more the merrier. We've seen with alcohol in our country, the province that I'm in, Alberta, is the only province that has privatized, private ownership liquor stores. Liquor is controlled by the government from beginning to end. Well, they don't produce it, but they distribute and sell it to everybody. Nobody is exempt, except in Alberta, where the government still is the wholesale distributor, so to speak, of all alcohol, but it's opened up the retail market. As a result, hours are longer, people can access alcohol for longer hours and in a lot more locations. When the government ran alcohol, you could only buy, they were closed on Sundays, you could only buy from, 10 a.m. or so to 6 p.m., except on Fridays. They were open till 9 p.m. and, of course, closed on Sundays. What did this create? It created what we call bootleggers who sold alcohol on Sundays because the liquor stores weren't open, or late at night after 9 o'clock, and people were looking for alcohol, so they filled that void. Well, that industry is gone because now it's opened up the retail marketplace, and you can access alcohol on a Sunday where you couldn't before. So it's very different in Alberta than the rest of the country. But I think the free market system is a much superior system, creates competitive pricing and much more, many more locations. When the government did it, there were very few locations and limited hours. So that change has been really awesome.
Right.
I hope something similar for the cannabis.
Yeah, me too. I hope something similar for the cannabis. People deserve a safe access way, and it's incredible.
100%.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, a safe access is for sure. And now we're taking the profits out of the hands of cartels and gangs and motorcycle clubs and all that kind of stuff, and that money will now go to legal, legitimate business owners and be taxed by the government, and they'll get revenue, and they're going to save money by not persecuting people for cannabis or having cannabis on them. So it's going to be a huge windfall, really, for the government, not just in taxes they're going to collect, but in money saved in
create jobs.
And policing, and it's going to allow
create new job positions.
Oh, so many new jobs in the cannabis industry. And once it goes legal, it's going to be amazing. And of course, with hemp, same thing. It's actually, we heard that it's starting to draw some people back to the farm or back to the rural areas. Cannabis hemp is coming along strong in that aspect. So with hemp and cannabis combined, the amount of jobs created are going to be phenomenal. The amount of taxes created are going to be phenomenal. And money saved is going to be phenomenal. So it's going to be what we call the win-win-win situation. And finally got their heads out of their butts, and we see it on the horizon here in Canada, coast to coast. And it's an awesome feeling. We can hardly wait.
Well, we are down to the last 2 minutes of the big broadcast. This is a good time to give a shout out to your favorite URL. Michael, have you got one?
Yes, people can check Noticias, which means news, Cáñamo, C-A-N-N-A, Cáñamo, M-O, and that's, most of the news of the great cannabis campaign for the restoration of hemp campaign, which it's in Spanish, so it's Noticias Cáñamo. Check that.
All righty, and Kelly?
For medical patients who could use a free quality vaporizer delivered to their door, send me an email to Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca. Hope to hear from you all soon. Thanks, Mike. It's always great. We'll have to have you on the show again. I look forward to seeing you in Colombia in November. And
Sure.
It's good. Great.
My pleasure, Kelly. Big hug for you. Big hug for everybody, for Casper. Thank you, Kelly. We'll see you in Colombia.
You betcha.
And I want to remind people we are a growing team of people who are dedicated to ending prohibition all around the world. Free archives to download, live stream music to listen to for free on all your smart devices. Just find an app at timeforhemp.com. And remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it's Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes.
Free? Did you say free? Free hemp? Free hemp? Free hemp video and audio? Free downloads of all the top artists, all the pot artists on planet Earth. Interviews with all the people making the movement, making the hemp movement. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp.
Since 1990, over 9 million people have broken the rules and got arrested for pot. That's more than the population combined from Alaska, Montana, Wyoming, and even Vermont. Man, that sure seems like a lot. In 2005, over 750 million American citizens got busted with weed. What burns holes in my tent is 86% were arrested for possession. But what I can't believe is one of those people was me. So what can we do about legalization but rally around and reform legislation that state our position and make it our mission? A change in the law is what we need. It's time we legalize weed. Chief Greenbud is spouting about prison overcrowding, using words like reform, rally, and change. Why should we do time for a victimless crime? Marijuana isn't evil, but it's taking the blame. Don't you think that it's time for a change? So what can we do about legalization but rally around and reform legislation that state our position and make it our mission? A change in the law is what we need. It's time we legalize weed. Let's make it our mission, state our position. Change in the law is what we need. It's time we legalize weed. Yeah, it's time we legalize weed.